I should start. Yeah, okay. Hi. Welcome to the best thing you watched this week. We are doing another spooky week with the best family top 5, I guess, from our point of view. So it might not be your best family. Let us know once again in the comments below. What is your top 5 horror family movies? As always, second week running, we're going to put the best thing we watched in the podcast section and give you the tantalizing top 5 horrors at the beginning. I'm Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, and the beautiful Chris with a very interesting hairstyle today. From Movies and Munchies. Hi, Chris.
Hey.
What's going on with your hair?
You know, I've been getting recently, as I've been growing out my hair, a lot of comments that I look like a budget George Lucas, which I take as flattering. I don't take that as anything other than fun. But I decided today, you know what, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to infuse a little bit of David Lynch. Now, so whatever. You know what I mean? It's hair. And
I mean, it's definitely got that you put your finger in the socket look, and
it's fitting for Halloween, right? You know, the spooky. Yeah. Ooh.
I'm going for it's alive.
I love the monster makeup and the Frankenstein.
This is thanks to my partner. She's very good at doing this sort of thing. So, otherwise, if I did it, I'd just splotch on some color and it just looks ill. So, yeah. Right, so I'm very excited to see what your top 5 family horror films are. I've tried to keep, I think we discussed, I try to keep mine PG-13 and below, because I think that's probably accurate for all the bars you can push as to what's family. But I do recognize that your family may be old. I have a 19-year-old son, I have a 16-year-old son, so they are pushing that, and I think yours are as well. But what are those movies that you just love to rewatch during like horror times, like Halloween, or family horror that you stick on whenever? You know, you get those Christmas horror ones as well. So why didn't you kick us off? Because I got some thoughts, man.
All right, yeah, this should be interesting, and I'm curious at what we're going to do, because you know we rank these. We put our lowest, maybe, you know, we had to narrow it down, obviously, our number 5, but we might have some duplication and they may be in different orders. So we'll just kind of hold the ranking loosely a little bit here. So, you know, we'll continue in. I'm going to start with a few of my honorable mentions. I have a handful of them, I think, and then we'll go from there. So, Monster Squad, which is a terrible movie, and yet it is so wonderful. Wolfman's got nards. I mean, that line has stuck with me. We have the live action Addams Family, and so I love that one. A Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin, and
it may be a musical, but it's terrifying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just a lot of fun, a little different. And then The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy, and it was a lot of fun when I saw it, and the kids really enjoyed it, and so that's why it's on there. But number 5 is Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Now this,
I would never have guessed you went for that one.
Well, this has some nostalgic feeling to it, because we took the kids to see it in the theater, and it was a really good time. I mean, Aardman, their films are spectacular. I mean, just the claymation, the way that they stop motion, all of that, it's so beautiful to watch. And this one was just really entertaining, and it was a lot of fun. The kids had a blast with it, because it has, Wallace and Gromit are on the case to find this being, this were-rabbit that's eating all of the carrots in the entire garden. And it's just a lot of fun to watch. But I love, some of the things that I love about these is you get to see like the thumbprints in the clay when the characters are being repositioned. And I mean, that level of detail, and it shows you that, this is truly handmade. I saw on IMDb, and they have, sometimes they list trivia about this. Now, I don't know who submits the trivia. I don't know how accurate it actually is. But it said that at one point, Aardman was producing 3 seconds of usable footage per day.
Yep.
Oh, that's insane.
Yep.
I mean, that is a ton of work for such a, and it is an 85-minute movie. But yeah, I think this one, it's probably rated PG or G. Really, I mean, general audiences, just, it's safe for everybody because it's not too scary. There's a little bit of suspense in there. Definitely a lot of humor. You have the slapstick, just even the dynamic between Wallace and Grommit. The looks that they give each other, it's classic. And it's good, like as an adult, I was still engaged in the story, and I was still having a lot of fun, and it made it even better to watch the kids sit there and laugh along with it. And to be, what's going on? Where are we going? And so, have you have seen it? I take it.
Of course. Aardman is like quintessential British. We're proud of Aardman. Yeah. So if you're introduced to Wallace and Gromit, it'll be like the wrong trousers Gromit, and then when this one originally came out, wasn't that well received, but since then it has gained I guess a cult following, much like the original two. People understand the amount of work that goes into creating something that's quite spectacular. Really, the movement, the facial expressions that you can create is incredible. And if you look at some of the behind the scenes, how they create, it's basically creating a miniature world. You see all the cameras and lighting sets up, and then painstakingly just moving that little finger slightly, and then bam, and then just duplicating that. Now they have the technology that can help them do it much easier. It still takes ridiculous amounts of time. And I don't know if you know, they've got one coming out on Netflix in November called Ruben. Oh. Aardman. It's a half an hour stop motion, so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, that's such a great choice because they're so good at what they do.
Very much.
For my number 5, have you heard of a film called 9?
I have. Now, my kids have seen it. I have not.
Okay, you definitely need to put this on. So a ragdoll that awakens in a post-apocalyptic future holds the key to humanity's salvation. It's got the voice stars as Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, Crispin Glover, and it has this really interesting kind of metal score that is like the meat and bones of the atmosphere. It's really dark for a kid's film, and it's what they're managed to create is something that I think is stop motion, but you're never quite sure whether it's animated or stop motion because it is ragdoll. It looks real. The things you are getting is like it's cyberpunk meets animation, but rock. And I mean, any kid that's doing a little bit of rebelliousness at like a young age, from 9 to 14, this is going to be your jam. And yeah, I think my kids ate it up, and we just loved watching it because it was one of those that was always pushing the boundaries. One of the best soundtracks to a film I've ever seen. That is the heartbeat of the film, apart from the voice work, Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, and then you have that just very visual, lots of dark, bright greens, that ethereal magic that you often get. So cool. Such a great story.
Is it?
So that's my 5.
Is it? I mean, dark. Yes. Is it scary, or is it just kind of like?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's proper scary. I would say it's like it's the top of what you can push for a horror for young kids, because although it's not gore per se, like when you're seeing there's these different dolls that are alive and they all have different numbers on them. 9 is our anti-hero hero, and he's got to save the day, but you get to see like dolls being ripped up or shredded or allowing themselves to be used to save 9, or heroes. It reminds me a little bit of the Wizard of Oz, where they've got to find their courage almost, because I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, that they all represent something from the human body, or the human nature. And so as they figure that out, they're able to use that, much like the lion finds his courage, but he's a coward. It's a similar sort of premise. So much fun.
Nice. Well, that's going to be added to my list.
Yeah. Yeah, so going down to number 4.
Number 4. Okay, so mine is from, 1995, Casper, with Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci with the little...
I can't... it's been so long, I don't think I can remember the film.
Well, you have this this dad and his daughter kind of grieving. I mean, I don't remember exactly how much time has passed since the loss of his wife, but they move into this this mansion, and weird things begin to happen, and you have a couple of 3 ghosts that come in, and they spook him out, and they're kind of... You have a villain, and you have her henchman played by Eric Idle, which I thought was just brilliant casting there, because he's so funny and just dry and goofy. But Bill Pullman is goofy also, and that I think is what really sells it for me. It's I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so I'm not sure how well it totally holds up. But my guess is that it's still, the story itself is the one of a dad and daughter, that relationship, learning to let go, learning to accept some grief, and then learning to grow together and to move on. And you have Christina Ricci, she's in school, obviously. I mean, she's maybe junior high-ish, and so you have some of that little bit of teen angst there, where the crush on the boy or the crush on the girl, and just the back and forth that comes from that, and so it provides some good humor. I remember just having a lot of fun with it, and actually having some good heart. And so at the end, where there is some peril that comes on, and some real, where our characters get involved in not scary things, just like tense, meaningful, like there's a little bit of like, oh my gosh, what happens, like and you feel bad for another character, because that's kind of vague, because anyway, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's just a lot of fun. But it's geared again towards families. It's not like the Wallace and Gromit. It's not a G. I mean, it does, it hedges more into some of that teenage humor. It's got, I think, some body humor in it, and just, toilet humor. And so they play with that a lot, and it's just a lot of fun. But even the animation, the special effects that they use to create the ghosts, and how they move through things, and just the situations that they get into. I mean, it lends itself to a lot of laughs. I don't think that there's ever anything that's really like scary from a horror standpoint or anything like that. You feel a little scared for your characters, but not as in boo. So
yeah. Were you? Did you grow up reading any of the Casper comics?
No, I think, wasn't it like a cartoon at one point? There was a
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I remember seeing some of those, watching some of those. There's probably at some point I read a comic of it, but it was not something that I was into or that I actively pursued.
Okay. I definitely watched a lot of the cartoon, and I had a few of the comics, and I remember not being massively disappointed when the film came out, which I think was a big plus, because everybody expected it to be just a big stinker. Yeah. And then I think the audiences, critics and audiences are always definitely like polar opposites, and more often than not, I'm with the audience, because I'm a lover of film, and I know how hard it is to make film, so I'm more along the side of, but they've made a film. When you made a film, come speak to me, sort of feeling. So yeah, I imagine that even though the graphics are dated now, it's still a lot of fun. When is the last time you've seen it?
It's probably been a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4. I do remember there was in recent memory. I think it was on TV. It was on some channel, or maybe it was even on a streaming platform. And I was like, you know what, I haven't seen this, and I just turned it on and was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember a lot of this, and this is a lot of fun, and you just being caught up in the emotion, especially as the end comes on. I'm not sure how awesome the musical score is, but I think it worked well with the with the story itself. And it is there is a definite massive predictability to it also, But, you know, that's kind of comforting sometimes when you're watching, you know, a movie like this, that you don't need the big surprises or the big twists. You just need it to satisfy, to make you laugh, to make you, you know, maybe feel some empathy or, so, you know, some concern, and then walk away with a smile on your face. And it did that every time, you know. And even I remember when we watched it with the kids when they were younger, that they had a good time watching it too. And so that was always the, you know, a good barometer there. Did the kids check out, or were they having fun? And yeah, they had fun. So.
Well, as you know, I had 26 choices to try and whittle down. And even now, I'm looking at my list going, this is so hard. But I can't not have this one in there. So I'm going to stick it at number 4. It's a film that came out in 1988. So I was trying really hard not to come across as an old dude and stick a whole bunch of old films in there. And people like, these guys, what do they know? Where's the new stuff? But there's just some films, and sounding like an old person, they just don't make them like that anymore. This is a Tim Burton film. In South Africa, when it first came out, it was a 16. When it came to the UK, it was a 15. And since it's been put down to a 12, in America, it's a PG-13. So I can stick it in here because it is a film that I've shown my kids, which we love, my family watch. And I know lots of young kids get scared from this film even today. And it's Beetlejuice. Like, the Tim Burton Beetlejuice. I think, obviously, we have a great cast. You know, Gina Davis is fantastic in this. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, or Beetlegeist, however you want to pronounce it, is fantastic. Winona Ryder is fantastic. Alec Baldwin is great. The cast is excellent. I do think the character that they created of Beetlejuice is something that I think creeps people out, but also are intrigued as to what the hell are you? And there are moments in that really push the boundaries for the age restriction it got. It's Tim Burton dark, and so he manages to create an atmosphere that just gets you in and then kind of creeps you out. He has that weird, distorted, a lot of practical, because it's so old, a lot of practical use, a lot of stop motion as well in the creations, the big, like, creepy things that are still weird. The seance, the possession, you know, these are like, whoa, how are you doing that on this age restriction? Okay, fair enough, you're gonna put on that, go for it. All in all, just a really, really great film. What are your memories of this film?
I love Michael Keaton in this. Now, it is dark. I mean, the story is dark, but again, that's a Tim Burton thing, you know. I mean, you go in expecting a level of twistedness, and I think though that he's able to keep it within there because he understands, you know, I can make this dark and twisted, and I can take you and make you creeped out, but I don't have to become overly vulgar, or I don't have to become graphic or gory to do certain things. You know what I mean? You can play with that, and even with the theater of the mind. You know, we can imagine some of the other portions of this, and so you're just going to give us some wild visuals. But Michael Keaton always, this once again, illustrates his range and how awesome he can be. And I love it when that man goes kind of off the rails. You know, he
works. Yeah,
so he fully embraces the goofiness, and but he's got that devilish.
There's the dark crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Like, and you're like, should I be afraid of you? I should probably be afraid of you. But you kind of look like you could be a friend, and maybe you'll eat me. You know. Yeah, no,
exactly.
Yeah, it's that one again has been one that I haven't seen for a while, but it's you know, the colors, the zaniness of it, everything I think just really works, and that's a great one. You're right, for probably not the youngest of audiences, but you know, as the kids and the families, you know, become just a little older, and I mean, obviously you get to judge, you know, the viewing age in your own household, but yeah, that can be one which I think is really great, is because as kids get older, it's something that you can enjoy together, and they pull different meanings out of it. You know, that they, you know, some of the things that may have gone over their head the first time they see it, when they get just a little bit older and they have a little bit more experience, a little bit more just, you know, worldly exposure, then it's like, oh, I get that. That's funny.
I do that with films. I go back to, I was like, I never saw that before. Was that always in there?
And sometimes it's a horrifying, like, oh my gosh, I showed my parents this movie.
No wonder they were looking at me funny.
Exactly. That is a great choice there. Wonderful.
Okay, so we're heading to your
number
third.
3. Yes, Hocus Pocus. Now, yes, again, I think we're staying with kind of the old there, but come on, oh my gosh,
come on, how can you not? Halloween, you gotta.
If this is not on some sort of list at some point, you know what I mean? Like even on your radar, there's something wrong. You know, it may not make your top.
I'm glad
go ahead.
I'm glad. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm glad you put this one up because actually, before you tell me why you love it, do you know about Rotten Tomatoes and its score?
No, what is the score on this one?
Okay, I'm just pulling it up now because I think I tweeted about it this week because I was going through this list of what to put there. So the audience have it at 71. Go on, audience. Yes, correct. The critics, 38%.
What? See, I'm sorry, Rotten Tomatoes, you're wrong on this one. This is... yeah, okay, sure. From a critical standpoint, if we're looking at this, did this elevate the art of cinema? Maybe not. Did it?
But that's not what film is always about. It's always been about entertainment.
Yeah. Did I have a great time watching this? Absolutely. I mean, let's just take Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Those three together, oh my gosh, that was comedy gold. The way that they bounce off of each other, the way that they go full on into their characters and they just embrace it and which then translates to us to just have a blast with them. I mean, the fish out of water scenario, you know, them now into the modern, I mean, at that time, modern.
Where they're walking on the road. That always cracks me up. They're like, what is this? It's a lake.
The what is it? The vacuum that they ride. I mean, you know, now they'd have to ride a Roomba. You know, but it just. I mean that again. You know, you have this one is probably even geared more towards. It's a wider audience, I think, because it's not. There are some scariness to it, you know. But even like the zombie dude is not really scary. He's not even really gross. I mean, you know, maybe at the time.
Yeah, both can't talk.
Exactly. You know, but he doesn't even have like pieces of him really falling off. I mean, it's just some good makeup.
No,
and
it's like it's painted on. Yeah.
So it's just it's this one. I think this is one that is on an almost yearly rotation of watching. You know, sometimes it does get bumped out just for time, but more often than not, this is one on the list that we watch each year because it's just fun, you know, and it has, for my age, it has some nostalgic value to it. I know last year, maybe the year before, we sat down with my oldest son and his fiance, who's now his wife, and we all watched it together, you know, and that was something that she even had grown up watching year after year and one of their favorites. And so I think it's one that's it is a modern-ish classic from a this is a tradition type of standpoint that you want to watch this every time because it doesn't get old and it still holds up and it maintains the humor, the even the story lessons within it. I mean, it all, you know, again, predictability. Yes, absolutely. That's okay. We have fun with it. And did I sit down and did I laugh and did I just walk away from a movie with a smile on my face? And this one, absolutely. I am highly entertained. And I think there has been chatter about maybe a sequel. Is that right?
I was just going to ask. Yeah, there is a sequel coming. It's fully in the works. It's not just there is a sequel. I'm worried about it, though. do we need a sequel to this? How do you recapture that same nostalgia that they managed to capture? Because that was like they've literally captured magic in a bottle there.
They have. I mean, first off, you have to have the three witches. If you don't...
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, they're all signed on.
Now, I would be curious with the story. I mean, my guess would be that they would take the kids from the first one, push it forward so that they're older now and that their kids are having to experience...
That would be a good way to go.
You know, yeah, I don't know. I can say it makes me a little nervous as well.
Although you could do the fish out of water again, so it's another step up because it's been long enough. So now there's like everybody's on their phones. Maybe they'd use technology
to its advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could actually cause a lot of fun. Yeah, you're right.
It could be good if written well.
Yes. So we'll see. I mean, at least though, even if the new one that is forthcoming isn't good, we have the original to fall back on to be like, this is spectacular.
That's okay.
Exactly. Yes. And I'm just going to wash that other thing out of my mind, and I'm going to sit down with the classic Hocus Pocus and have a great time with it.
You know, I can't hear the song "I Put a Spell on You" without seeing their faces and hearing them. I put a spell on you. I literally go to Hocus Pocus.
See, that's the mark right there, that it has an impact on you. And
so good. Great choice.
Oh, okay. What's your number 3 now?
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a couple of honorable mentions, as I haven't yet. Growing up, I watched The Never-Ending Story so many times. In fact, when my parents told me I couldn't watch it one night, I was crying and throwing a tantrum because, and I might have been 11 or 12, but we're not going to say that, because it just captured my imagination. But it had the horror, you know, Artex. How many times have you seen that horse die and you're just like, I can't, not again. Or how many quotable lines? To the winch, wench. I mean, it's so good. And then obviously every single kid wanted Falco.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they wanted to ride the dragon. And then everybody's still to this day trying to figure out what the mother's name is. Say my name. Like, what is her name? Like, it's all right, cool. And also remember having a crush on the princess when I was growing up. I was like, yeah, she fine. Obviously now she's not that age anymore, and we're all grown up. But yeah, so that I'll come back to some of my other honorable mentions, but that's just one I wanted to kind of say, yeah, man, if I wasn't so close to this film, I probably put it in there, but I'm too close to it.
It's a good choice. And it does have that creepiness to it.
Oh, it does. We haven't even talked about the wolf, the Morlock. Yeah, so good. However, had this been last week and I had not put in arachnophobia, I would have put in arachnophobia in this position. I am going for another spider one, though, and this is called Eight-Legged Freaks, and this film is ridiculous. Have you ever seen it? I have
not. It's David Arquette, right? Okay, no,
yeah,
I haven't seen this one.
I love this film so much. Yeah, okay. Venomous spiders get exposed to a noxious chemical that causes them to grow to monumental proportions. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it is creepy. It is scary. There are spiders that have various abilities. They hunt humans. They're the jumping ones, the giant tarantula ones, you name it. It's not quite as vicious as the spiders you get in The Mist, but they get close to it. And so you take your fear and then you enlarge them. But then you add comedy. There's literally moments where a motorbike guy will like ride over a spider or kick it in the head, and you hear the spiders react, but like as if it has a human voice. It'll be like, ah! Which is it's you're going for the horror, and suddenly you're like, what the hell? What did I just? That's why I actually just respond to dying. Ah! You're like, oh, okay, fine. This was scary. Now I'm laughing my head off. So it jumps from, it's like a juxtaposition. Seriously scary, going really for the creepiness, managing to get it. Spiders are like pulling people out of cars, just munching, spinning them up into webs. You're trying to, it's all going quiet because like the sets are turned to massive web bits, and you can see like someone's, don't touch that bit of web because that's going to call the giant spiders, and then there'll be some comedy along the way, which is often David Arquette because he has that timing comedy, that delivery that is so good, which is why I liked him as one of my favorite characters in Scream. But yeah. That's why it's at number 3. I love this film so much.
What is wrong with you and your spider movie? Good grief.
I know, and spiders creep me out so much.
Oh,
probably.
Yeah, probably, yes. This does sound like a really fun one. I'm going to have to add this to my list because, I mean, we go towards the things that terrify us, right? And so, just the visual, I think that's what really creeps me out, is just to have these, and it's probably not the giant ones that it's going to creep me out. It's the ones that are probably like the size of a dog, if they have any of those. That
for sure.
See, that's just wrong.
There's loads of
those. No, because I see that more as the reality. But is it gory, or is it kind of like when the spiders will pull people out? Does it show like blood and guts, or is it kind of cut away?
It will show some, but enough to get away for the age restriction it has. It's more spider gore, I think.
Okay, so splats and everything like that when they
that kind of stuff. Yeah. Do you remember the spider in Harry Potter? Not Aragog, but the one that comes out of the closet, because you have to think about your fears, and if your fear is a spider, it changes into that thing. Yeah. But then they said like you turn it, and it became a clown spider for a moment. I was like, that is the most horrific thing I've ever seen.
It was worse.
Clowns and spiders. What are you doing? That's not funny.
No. That they're okay. If you are a filmmaker, that is gold right there. That is the most
spider clown.
Oh gosh, I don't even know why. What justification you could make in a story to make those two work together, but do it. That would golly.
A new franchise right there.
Scariest movie ever, right?
Absolutely.
Which is a good tease for in 2 weeks. We're doing our top 5 clown horrors.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I am so excited to look at
I've been looking at all these, like, haven't seen that, I don't want to watch that. Haven't seen that, I definitely don't want to watch that one.
Yeah.
Just that's the list.
Yeah. So tune in for that one. I don't think there will be any spider themed clown horrors yet. Coming soon to a video store near you. So, okay. Anyway.
What's a video?
Exactly. What? Oh, that just shows.
All right. So what's your number 2?
All right. Number 2, 1999. And then it had a re.
Oh, so we're pushing up.
Yes, slowly. This one I saw opening night in the theater. And it was funny because I don't think it had the cult status until it was re-released in theaters a bunch of years later. But it is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hey,
this is gold. I mean, this is the movie that, is it a Christmas movie? Yes. Is it a Halloween movie? Yes. Can I watch it any time during the year? Absolutely.
But who directed it?
Not Tim Burton.
Not Tim Burton.
Yes, that it's Selnick. Is that it? Henry Selnick?
Something like that. Yeah, it's one that people get wrong all the time.
Yes, because I think it was Tim Burton Presents. Right? Is that it? Yes. And so but it's off of his story that he had written.
Yes,
and so that's why, you may see Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, even though he's not the actual one to direct this. But
Henry Selick.
That's it. Just it. If you haven't seen this, I mean, come on, what's going on here? But
it's the music, though. I think Massive
Oh, it is.
part.
It is. Me and my kids went to see it in the theater like 2 years ago. And,
Amazing.
you know, we were all gearing up to be like, okay, we're just going to sing along to it. And I'm like, wait a minute, we can't do that, because in a theater of people that have paid to watch this, you know, that's rude to them. I would be pissed if I came, you know, to a movie and then I have all of these people behind me or something singing, you know, the songs to this movie. I paid to see them do it. We should have done it because there was only like 3 or 4 other people in the theater. But I mean, the animation, the story, the voice work, the songs, the music, Danny Elfman, right?
Danny Elfman, yeah.
Oh my goodness. That again, this is one of those that was like, you know, magic in a bottle, that it captured so many great emotions and so many great feels, and in a story that I think, good grief, like the story is only, 70 minutes long, something like that. It's not a long movie. And yet it takes us through a really great story arc with characters that we become super invested in. You know, and you have the disenchantment, the one, Jack Skellington, who is, he has reached the pinnacle of his status, his usability maybe in his own head. And so he wants something more. And so to have him then, you know, truck out, leave what is his place, his town, his everything that he has known, to go in search of something else, a new challenge, a new, you know, adventure, and to see how wrong that goes, you know, and just, I mean,
Yeah, it's an incredible one. It should be on everybody's top 5, really. It's such a journey as well. Talk about an anti-hero, because he's almost the bad guy, right, at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, and he's certainly the bad guy once he takes over for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you think it's going to go one way, and it doesn't. It doesn't go that way.
Oh, just, yeah. And I mean, the visuals, I think, that they create with that. And, you know, you have, I mean, they have a lot of fun with the character design too, because in Halloween Town, I mean, you can go kind of just nuts, you know, and you can do whatever, because okay, you know, we're going to put this head on this body. Nowhere else would this work, but here it totally makes sense, you know. And I'm not even sure I could choose, like, you know, I go back and forth sometimes. I was like, oh, who's my favorite character in this? I mean, Jack is always
Oogie
up there.
Boogie.
But yeah, see, I love Oogie. I really
Oogie's
do.
great.
You know? But then Lock, Stock, and Barrel also, just, you know, the whole, and that's it too. I mean, the mayor, you know, and I should have grabbed my coffee mug for him, because I have a dual-sided mayor coffee mug. It's impossible to drink out of because it's shaped like, you know, like a pyramid, like his house, or his head. But
my original set, I don't know if next time you look at it, you're watching a review of mine, the background is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the curved, the hill, the
moon. Yeah.
Oh, just see, I mean, everything about that, it's so beautiful to look at too. I think that's a lot of it.
It's so pretty. Yeah. In amongst the doom and gloom, it's just like, I love this every frame.
Yeah. I mean, Sally, she is like one of the most colorful within her surroundings. And, you know, just the patchwork that she has with her, and just, anyway.
Yeah.
So.
It's fantastic.
All right.
Right. Where am I? Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more, a couple of more honorable mentions. I found it really hard not to just go with all stop motion for my top 5. Like, Coraline, Frankenweenie, The Corpse Bride. Like, they're so good, and they're so dark. I was just like, I could just do top 5 stop motion, there you go. And that would be more, I'd be more than happy to watch any one of them, because they're that good.
I'm going to not watch Coraline again for a while. That one freaks the crap.
Yeah, it's dark,
that
right?
One freaks me out every single time. I'm like, oh, this is wrong.
Whenever I watch that, I'm like, how is this a kid's movie? This is dark.
Very dark, yes.
Okay, but for my number 2, this is probably, people are probably not going to like this one, but I'm Legend. Do you remember I Am Legend with Will Smith?
Okay. I want to hear the justification for how this lands on your family-friendly-ish horror.
It's a 12. What do you want from me? It's a 12. It's a 12. It's PG-13.
Is it really? Oh my gosh.
Even the bit with the dog where he's strangling the dog. It's a zombie movie that is so intense. But we, in the family, we have a bit of a soft spot for Will Smith. Like, some of his films aren't great.
Sure.
But we still enjoy them. Even his son's films, when he does a film called The Karate Kid, and it's only the Judo Kid, we still enjoy it. But this one, we've watched a number of times. We've watched the alternate ending and wish the alternate ending was the correct ending.
Yes, I agree.
Because there's a survivability there that I think there's a justification for everything that you go through. But a film and an actor's got to be good enough to hold your attention, especially if it's them. So like Tom Hanks doing Castaway with Wilson, creating the character Wilson, but he's pretty much just that in his film alone. And so apart from the beginning of this, where we see the world turn, then it's Will Smith and his dog, a man and his dog. Like in the post-apocalyptic future with people now as zombies, like it doesn't get much darker and much more interesting than that. But some of the dialogue trees is just stuff that we just fell in love with. Like the mannequins that he forms friendships with, how he has to survive. The monologue scene with Shrek is something that actors should use as to how, when they study acting, how you're able to, because he portrays so much emotion in that, but you realize it means so much. Or how you cannot cry, you're definitely not a human being, when the dog dies, but he's got to put his dog down because of that moment. And then when the mannequin moves and he's like, no, what are you doing? No. It's fantastic. I enjoy it so much. And because it's a 12, I was like, I might be able to get away with this. So there you have it. My number 2.
It is a properly tense movie.
Oh, it's seriously
tense.
It
is. Yeah. I mean, yes. Well, and it's not.
It's not gory. It's not.
No, it's that anticipation and that terror of the chase and the needing to be quiet and the needing to, you have to get from point A to point B, and then oh gosh, I'm trapped here, or I have to be locked down, just.
You have a certain amount of hours during the day. You got to be home, locked up, absolutely silent. You're covering the windows, not using any light because of what they're drawn to. Even if you hear somebody the chance you might hear somebody, you can't help them. Well,
in that last scene, not scene, but the in the final act with the glass wall and the just so captivating and fearful for your characters. I mean, that is truly like you just oh, good choice. I can I would not show.
You can see
I can totally see it. I would not show it to the younger. I mean, this is definitely, you're pushing that, but still a lot of fun. I think.
But I'm thinking like the sort of films I used to watch as a young teenager that I used to sneak in to watch.
Yes.
This would be like one of those I would talk to about my friends. They'd be like, "Have you seen this? It's so good. I'll lend you the tape." Because we're talking videotape.
Of course. No, and that it is. It is really good, and I think because there's a lack of a lot of gore. I mean, it's more of that just suspension of or not suspension. It's a creation of terror and anticipation. From the isolatedness that he feels in that aloneness. In a vast city. I mean, that's also crazy, where you can make somebody feel like just so alone, and
so much empty space, but you're the only one.
Claustrophobic in that openness. Yeah. Now, did you ever read the short story? There was.
I didn't know.
I don't know. I didn't read it either. I was just curious. I had it at one point, and I'm not sure I still have it. I meant to read it, and then just never got to it. So.
Well, if you're listening and you've read it, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear whether it's worth.
Yeah, well, and how I'm curious at how they match up and what was, I mean, obviously, it's a short story, and so they expand it, but yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've reached that time of day. We've reached your number one.
Yes. Now.
Yeah.
So it had been progressively getting newer, I think. Ish.
Okay, cool. So this is going to be 2015.
No, actually, I'm going older. This is the oldest movie on my list.
No, what have you done?
I know, right? No. This one, this holds a very special place in my heart because I have watched it numerous times. My children have.
If you say The Exorcist, I'm going to crack up laughing. How do you justify that one?
Yes.
It's got a kid in it.
Exactly. See, there's family. What are you talking? It's all about family. What are you?
Sorry, I ruined your train of thought.
No, okay. 1974. It is black and white. It is a take on a classic monster story. It is directed by Mel Brooks. Young Frankenstein. Frankenstein. Gene Wilder, Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr, Marty Feldman. I mean, just this movie cracks me up and has so many quotable lines in it, and just I was reading some about it actually this week, and they talked about how actually it became very annoying because Gene Wilder, he would get through one take and then would just laugh, and or make some kind of joke or do something that was super funny and could never finish the scene again. And so they had to use whatever take that was and just go with it because it just, they would do 15, 20 takes and could not finish them. And so it's just, I mean, you have Gene Wilder playing Frankenstein, the youngest. I mean, he's he inherits his castle. He comes there. He's a doctor. He's a physician. He's a scientist. He's based in, he's very proper. And he also doesn't like the Frankenstein name because of all of the baggage that has come with that, of his grandfather and father just, experimenting and trying all of these harebrained ideas. It is Frankenstein. And he slams the scalpel into his leg there and class dismissed. Just, and so you have, but then once he gets to the castle for his inheritance, and he meets Frau Blucher and just I'm playing the whole thing in my head, Marty Feldman as Igor had, I read, there's a sight gag that happens in the movie where his hump moves from side to side, and they actually called it out. Well, that wasn't scripted. He had been as a gag for himself. He had been moving it during takes, and they decided to keep that in there. And just, things like that. Just it's So you have Frankenstein played by Peter Boyle. You have the fiance who is just annoying, who is the fiance of Dr. Frankenstein, played by Madeline Kahn. You have the assistant, the lab assistant, who is kind of ditzy but very funny, Terry Garr. Just the whole. This movie, this is one that you don't have to watch during Halloween. Now there are some innuendos in there. But I think if you're watching it with a younger crowd, it's going to go over their heads. They're not going to get it. It's in there to make the adults laugh. It's not scary, but it has. More. First and foremost, it's a comedy, and so it's just. But it's you're taking your Frankenstein story and then expanding on that some, and you still have the the villagers who hate the monster and the mob mentality that's built up into a fervor, and so Have you have seen it? I take it.
Yeah, parts of it. I think I don't know that I've ever watched it fully forward. I think it's you have to be in the mood,
Sure.
sort of film. I love Spaceballs, so like that's quotable, absolutely. But it has such a cult following. There's there's people that are definitely obsessed with this version of the Frankenstein story. I think if you watch it, you won't like watching it with a bunch of friends. I think might be the best thing to do because you'll laugh your heads off and then you'll be quoting it to each other. Or there'll be somebody that's seen it a number of times that will start quoting it ahead of time and they'll be cracking up. It's like what I do with any Monty Python films. You know, if you're watching with someone who hasn't seen Monty Python, you can't help but start doing like coconuts or yeah, he's a very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah. There's so many. It's that sort of humor.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it fully once so that I can say I've seen it fully. Especially as it's on your number one, which is
yeah. It really it was either that. I mean, my Young Frankenstein and Nightmare Before Christmas were going back and forth there, but for me, it was it's one of these that. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to stick with it. But when I come over to the UK, we'll sit down and watch this. I'll watch this one with you. And
for sure. Okay. Okay, so my number one. Yeah, I really struggled with not putting in Poltergeist or Ghostbusters or what's the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, they're all kind of old choices like that. Poltergeist, Ghostbusters, or Gremlins. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Choices. I guess Gremlins you could put in the Christmas top 5 because it's Christmas, but it's also horror, but it's also funny, and has so much nostalgia. Poltergeist is pushing the boundaries of PG-13, I think. You really kind of have to have watched it first with your family, with your partner, to check your disposition of your kids, whether they can handle some of that supernatural stuff. Because again, it's tense. It's not really gory, but it's the heightened tense. Anything from those late 80s, early 90s, they really did. They weren't sure of the rating, so it was always like, oh, how much can we get? So what we call a family movie is interesting. And this one I feel might be the same. It is one, it's not so old. It came out in 2013. And it's an actor that is now died. It's directed by the director of The Mummy, Stephen Sommers. And it's based on a book series by Dean Koontz. Any guesses?
Oh, is it Vampire? Oh
no, but nice guess. Okay, so Anton Yelchin. Do you know Anton Yelchin? Yeah. I mean, there's some actors that when they passed away, I guess they affect some people more than others. Anton for me was one that really affected me, just because from Star Trek to just those films, I just felt like there's some actors that you relate to the characters they're portraying. He was one of them. Like every single character, I was like, yeah, man, I get it. I love the roles they choose. That's always mine. And so for me, I just come off reading all of these books. I think there are 14, maybe 15. Man. They're the Odd Thomas series.
Oh, okay.
And so Stephen Sommers did his version of the first book called Odd Thomas, and Anton Yelchin played the main character. Ashley Summers as the kind of they're in love with each other, but this so captivated me. And this is again PG-13, and the story itself is a mixture between that supernatural love story and anti-hero. So you have a town. There's this character that he can only see dead people. Okay, he sees ghosts. What's the thing? They can't touch him. And you can't hear them. That's the big kind of twist in the story. You can't hear dead people for whatever reason. This is part of the law. You just they're silent. So they try and communicate through him, like you're going to do charades with a ghost. Like what is it you're trying to tell me? And he often gets stuck in these really, really dark stories where he's got to figure out what a serial killer is going to do. And in this story, there is one of those apocalyptic things that's going to happen, and he is the guy that can help us. But he doesn't necessarily want to be that guy. He will help a ghost, and he is so good that he keeps trying to help them cross over, or they've got unfinished business. So if they were killed in a bad way, he will go and figure out. He's also drawn to them. He has like this magnetic ability that can be drawn to a ghost or what happened to them. So he's got a sort of like superhero thing. There are also these weird demons that if you look at them, if you acknowledge that they're around, they will just end you. So as long as you ignore them, that they don't know that you can see them, you have some sort of ability. It's basically when there's about to occur a big amount of death, these creepy crawly demons appear. And so it's used as a MacGuffin to show you that crap is about to hit the fan. And so when you see a few, you're like, oh no. But when you see 3,000, you're like,
things are coming.
Okay, something's happening. It's just such an adventure. But it also isn't massively gory. There's gore in bits. The monsters are so unique and interesting. The love story is really believable. It's also sad, apart from the fact that you now know that Anton's dead and you're watching going, but the story itself is sad and tragic, but full of adventure. Perfect anti-hero. I think young teenagers with, like, if you're the family that has these young teenagers, they're going to eat this up. And afterwards, this might be their gateway into reading again. You know how hard it is to get teenagers to read. But the way the character's portrayed is exactly like the characters in the book. So very, very well kind of transposed to page. So if you wanted to get your teenagers into reading quite a dark series, but get them into reading, which is a miracle in itself sometimes, this is probably like a nice... Like, if you like that character, there's another 14 books you can go and read. And I've read them all. And I've read them, I think, almost the second time through. Love it.
Nice. Well, I have this on one of my watch lists because I can see the cover that it has. I mean, it has Anton Yelchin in it on the cover. I've never really known what it was about, though. And so this has me intrigued. The reason it was on my list is because it was Anton Yelchin. And I was like, oh, I like him. I'm going to add this and go back to it. Okay, I'm going to have to check this out. So this is...
I really love it. It's a film I can put on anytime. Just enjoy it for what it is, that sort of adventure. It was pooed. I think it was not received well, or they expected it to be something that it wasn't. It's not another huge budget mummy film Stephen Sommers is directing. It's more indie vibe with some CG. So that's kind of what it got. But I think it's gathered a cult following since then.
Well, and faithful, at least with the character, right? Faithful to the books.
Yeah. I know Dean Koontz, he loves the film, and we always wanted more, but obviously, what do you do now? You have to
reboot almost, and start over again.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Okay. Run on.
Yeah.
Odd Thomas.
My poor list. I have so many others that I didn't. Man, The Black Cauldron, Tremors, The Sixth Sense, Troll Hunters, The Witches. There's loads.
I think, and that's a good thing. I mean, that there's plenty to choose from, when it comes to some of the ones that you can watch with family. And obviously, it's a sliding scale depending on how young or old your kids are, or what you...
I mean, if your kids are like adults, you could watch Sweeney Todd. Yeah.
Which I love and hate that movie all at the same time. That is
pies, man, pies. Eat some human pies.
just wrong. That is not a family movie at all. Oh, even though it's about family. Funny enough,
it is about family.
But no, that's wrong. All right. Well, we have reached the end of this segment. First off, thank you for tuning in. We would love to hear your ideas and your, what's on your top list in the comments. You're probably, there's a lot of them to choose from. Look forward to even some suggestions, things that I haven't seen, things that Ruben hasn't seen, that we can really check these out and add them, and maybe they'll make, maybe they'll bubble up to top of our list. Who knows? As a tease for next week, I'm looking forward to this because it's bound to be just terribly awesome and horrendous. But is our top 5 animal-themed horrors. So that, well, you take that for what it is, and we'll we'll tackle that.
They're bound to be Oscar-winning films.
Oh yeah, well, and I think some of ours are definitely going to overlap, just because they're.
I found a new one recently on Amazon. That I'm very excited
I can't wait. Oh, outstanding. Well, so you'll definitely want to tune in for that. If you're looking for, you want to hear the bonus audio, where this week we're talking about, just the best things that we watched this week. You head over to the podcast on Spotify or wherever you happen to listen to podcasts, because I think it's on several different platforms now. But we thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. Give him some likes, shares, subscribe if you have not. That was a good one. I'm going to use that as a thumbnail, I think. I don't even know what that is. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. Thanks again, and we will see you next week. Take care.